Ladies and gentlemen, welcome by the HipHop Minded Professional. Today I have a wonderful guest, an artist with a unique soul. Tell them who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is K Slice. I'm an artist, and you can call me like the hip hop kid with a Ghana soul. So my music is like Afro fusion. So it's based on black music. So hip hop, Afrobeat, soul music, and a bit of Ghanaian traditional music. So yeah, that's what I'm about. And for me, it's all about inspiring people and just finding a way to inspire the youth to actually go for what they inspired to go for, and what makes their heart tick. That's what
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
about.
Ah, nice, 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 nice. And how was your day up until now?
Pretty easy going, man. So because I slept pretty late today, so I just woke up maybe 10 o'clock or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just easy going. Just started with checking my mail and the normal stuff, basically. Yeah.
Ah, all right, nice. And for us, because you do you give workshops, you're also an artist. How did you get in to being an artist? Did it start with hip hop, or did you do something else before? How take us take us on that journey.
Okay, I always used to be a creative kid. So when I was younger, so let's say like 5, 6 years old, I was always into drawing.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
used to draw like cartoons, and there's one like cartoon maker. The name is their names are actually Hannah and Barbara. They
Yeah,
used to
yeah,
make most of the cartoons on Cartoon Network and stuff, and it used to be really inspired at how they made it and stuff. So it started with drawing actually, and then I started creating my own sort of storylines,
mm-hmm.
and yeah, that was just my way to sort of express myself. And I just found out that I have quite a big imagination,
Yeah, yeah,
so it's always going, and I'm able to create sort of my own world just by this hard drive here. So I was like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
this is, and, yeah, I was really mesmerized by just that. And I guess later on, hip hop came into the picture. I guess it was like when I was 11, 12. I guess 11, 12. And I guess the first rap I actually heard was Michael Jackson Jam. There's one rap
Oh,
verse in there. Like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
this is different. But from there on, I started exploring more of it. I bought two CDs. One CD was from Nas, and one CD was from Busta Rhymes.
Okay, okay.
And uh, then I just sort of got all up in it because I like the storytelling ability of Nas, and I really liked the crazy flows
Yeah, from
from
Buster.
Busta.
Yeah, yeah,
So so that's how it got started, man. And from there on, it used to just be like, okay, just rap with them and be able to catch up with Busta and be
yeah,
able to
yeah,
really nail the story that Nas was telling me
yeah,
through
yeah.
his music. And from there on, it was more like, okay, I want to tell my own story. So I started writing. And yeah, I used to be a really shy kid, the guy that
Mm-hmm.
is in the back of the class and just sort of observing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I observed a lot, and from there on, I was able to sort of paint a picture from what I saw within the lyrics I wrote.
Ah, nice, nice. And you also said that now you're also, let's say, bringing in more of your background.
Yeah.
You know, your Ghana background. How did that step go for you? When did you decide like, hey, wait a minute, I wanna bring in something from my tradition, from my background, from my heritage. How did that step go?
That's also a process, and it's a process that just keeps on going because I used to be like really gratified to the way music was made in a Ghanaian church because music is still part of lifting up your spirits.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So it's actually the same with all black churches. Actually, it's like we use the music to sort of lift each other's spirits and sort of get in a good mood and yeah, just feel good about yourself and the people around you.
yeah, yeah,
So that whole feeling always gratified to me, and from there on, it was more like, okay, what else is out there? Because
yeah.
I did hear a lot of Ghanaian music, especially from my father, but at some point you have to explore it yourself. You have to go out there and see what really sticks out for you. So
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
I did. I just started listening to the music more, and first on it was more based on what was going on that moment, and in that moment it was more based on azonto, hip life music, more like danceable music. Actually, everything is danceable, but this was more club based music, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah.
uh, and from there on, I'm getting a call. So- oh, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
am I still here?
yeah, yeah. You're still there. You're still there.
Wow. Um, Let me put this on. There's always a thing that people always call me when I'm in a Zoom. I don't know why. It's weird. It's
It's
weird.
timing. It's timing. It's they have a saying for it.
Okay,
I,
okay, the sound is better now. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, the sound is better now.
So yeah,
Okay, so
we were at let's say I'm not gonna even call it finding at let's say incorporating your Ghana heritage into your music.
okay, yeah. So it's basically I was just searching for the music that really sticked out for me, and then I found a lot of older music, maybe 70s, 80s music, and it really hit differently. I don't know why, but it really stuck out for me, and I was like, I just want to know more about it and know more about the messages behind the music because most of that music is based on really telling stories and really
Yeah, yeah,
based on proverbs. Also, proverbs are like sentences written by uh, elderly people
yeah, yeah,
to pass on to the younger generation.
yeah, yeah,
So it's actually, and you could see a sort of connection between the each one teach one uh, rule in hip hop, basically.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's just interesting. Like at the end of the day, it all matches up. It's all connected.
Oh yeah, that's yeah, yeah, yeah. It was and that in a way, it's not even that weird or strange that it has that connection, of course, because let's say
Yeah,
the way how hip hop originated, also, it let's say it came from let's say yeah black people, that is one, but also that came from the Caribbean that went to the
yeah,
States, and then you can kind of trace the line back where that was always the way how things were brought over. You know,
yeah.
it's like it's basically still a tradition in the sense of each one teach one, bringing it over via word and via communication. So it's a really nice link. And if you
Definitely, definitely.
and if you look at your path of being an artist, how how did that go for you? Let's say let's call it mentally. What was the up until now for you the biggest challenge you had in that?
The biggest challenge in
And let's say your path as an artist, so your growth as an artist up until now.
I think the biggest challenge I've had is basically, um, let's say, at one point it's also about opening up and being honest about what is really going on with you, and sort of skip the facades, because at one
Mm-hmm.
point, especially in the sort of hip hop at that time, now I'm talking like maybe mm, 15 years back or so,
Yeah, yeah,
was it was a lot about like bragging and just sort of creating this sort of image,
yeah, yeah,
um, and that's cool. But for me, I found out music is a way for me to get closer to who I want to be, the person I
yeah,
want to be. So it's not based on creating a sort of facade or image that is based on that sort of macho vibe, you know?
yeah, 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 yeah. Ah, interesting, interesting. And if you look at becoming or being the person you want to be, let's say how far along are you for your let's say your gut? How far do you think you are? Are you like 100% there, 90%, still working on the 80%?
I think it's always a journey, man. So it's hard to really um, say percentage wise,
Yeah,
because it's always a journey. And if you're really done, you're done with life. Actually, that's
yeah,
what I
yeah,
found out. At the end of the day, it's a continuous journey, and you always learn. And if you're not open to learn, you're done.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the thing. Yeah.
And if you look at because you also give workshops, how do you how do you incorporate, let's say, the lessons you've learned over the years in your workshops?
Um, I think that's a natural way of how it goes, because the the um, the lessons you want to pass on are always based on the lessons you've learned. So it's a natural process, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, it's a natural process, and so it's more based on like helping them out with making sure that they are open to show who they are.
Ah,
So
yeah,
it's also based on one of the lessons that was very important for me. Like, okay, feel free to really write what you are about. Feel free to really write about what moves you.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and don't feel sort of limited by the sort of boundaries that are created by our society, basically.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, and if you look at letting go, let's say boundaries and limiting, I'm gonna call it limiting beliefs. What was, let's say, your biggest boundary? Let's say that you let go, and then I'm gonna call it boundary from the outside.
Oh, my boundaries.
Yeah, so the biggest boundary in the essence of not your personal boundary, so not one that's, for example, having to do with being shy or whatever, or more the boundaries that were laid upon you from an outside influence. So be it society, be it family, um, friends.
And yeah, there are a lot of boundaries, man. Like, um, as soon as you go to school, there are like boundaries set for you in the way um, that when you tell certain dreams you have, it is look like frowned upon, like in some way, like when it's not based on uh, the sort of normal stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
let's say you have to be like when you say you want to be a fireman, it's okay. But if you say you want to be let's say what works, maybe something like bigger in a way. It could
yeah,
be like I want to be a driver for in a race driver or
yeah,
something,
yeah,
or I
yeah,
want to be like I know I want to join the Olympics, like very specific. When you are young and you're saying like I want to be in the Olympics
yeah,
as
yeah,
an athlete. When you say that, yeah, in some way they won't take it seriously. They won't
yeah.
really applaud it. They tend to applaud it when it's like
When it's done.
fireman,
Oh
policeman,
yeah, yeah,
or whatever. So that's already a thing. That's already a
yeah,
boundary. And then we have like other boundaries that are more based on maybe how you look. If you look a certain way, they will put you in a certain box. Like, okay, because you look this way, you're probably gonna do this, or you're probably gratified to do this.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's based on air. It's
Yeah.
based on nothing.
Yep, yep, yep. And if you look at when you were when you were young, um, did you always want to be an artist or let's say something in a creative zone?
Um, I guess I was more um, yeah, more focused on creating my sort of own world. So when I played with my Lego, I was like creating this sort of storylines and the way the world should look for me in the way. So I was more gratified to imagination, because imagination is a way to create sort of your own world.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's cool to sort of let kids sort of think about what they want to be when they grow up. But for me, it was more like I just want to create nice stuff for me. And at that moment, it was more based on cartoons and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
storylines and just playing around, and finding yourself in a way. So that's what I'm still doing, but it's now more based on a specific platform. In this case, it's music.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
And when did let's say how did that step go to, let's say, creating from drawings to creating a storyline in music? Was that was that a very natural step, or was it a moment that you thought of, hey, you know what, instead of drawing, I'm gonna do music? How did that go? Or maybe you're still doing both, that could also be possible, but
Uh, it's not like I really thought about. Okay, now I'm switching up. Like it's a natural process. It's just based on what inspires you. So in the beginning, it was the cartoons that inspired me to create sort of storylines, and later on, it was more based on the music I was listening to that also had certain storylines or certain way of telling the story that sort of gratified to me in some way. So that's just how it sort of naturally switched. Yeah.
okay, okay, nice, nice. And how, take us back to the feeling you had with your, let's say, first performance. How was that?
The first performance. The first performance was let's see. It was at a venue called Bibelo. That's the venue in Dordrecht. So that's town where I used to live, and It was actually part of a huge festival.
Mm-hmm.
So the bigger artists out of the Netherlands also performed, and there was a stage for like the local artists, and I was performing there. And I prepared some tracks, and it actually went pretty well. Like I found out that I was able to perform with the nerves, like sort of, um, especially the first time. It can be pretty nerve wracking to actually
Yeah, yeah.
go out there on stage and do your thing, you know. But I found out that that really keeps me going in some way. It's sort of it's almost like a drug in some way. I just like the feeling of it because
Yeah, yeah.
um, when you don't have nerves, you're not sharp, and when you have too much nerves, you're not able to perform. So
Yeah.
it's a balance thing, you know. And I just like that sort of challenge to find that balance
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, just go out there and do your thing. So for me, it was like, okay, I really like this actually,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
feeling of it and the thrill of it actually. And so for me, it went pretty well. And from there on, I was like, okay, I need to have this feeling again, man.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So
Because
that's where, let's say, the let's say that constant, I'm almost going to call it an addiction of, that feeling of keeping, trying to find that feeling each time. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
where that started. Okay. And do you only do you also get that feeling from other things besides performing?
Um, in some way, teaching is also performing. So I like that too. So because you're really going out there, you're telling a story, and you have to sort of create this connection with the people that are listening to you. So it's the same actually
Yeah, yeah.
in
And
in a lot of ways. Yeah,
And for us, do you teach a specific age group, or is it, let's say, real broad?
it's pretty broad actually. Right now, I'm part of a project that is for a library, and it's for primary school actually. So these
Mm-hmm.
kids are like 11, 10, maybe 12 years old. So yeah, it's different. But because before that, I used to do more like secondary school kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's say from 12 to maybe 16, 18, something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I give lessons to like younger grown-ups. So that would be maybe from 18 to 25 or something like that. So
Yeah, yeah,
it varies a lot.
yeah. And and also when as it varies, because you have, let's say, I'm gonna almost call it three age groups. What are the what are the differences you noticed in those age groups, qua, let's say, mindset or topics that they discuss or things that they want to do?
Um, I would say that primary school kids are more free. I guess the further away you are from being a baby, the more free you are in some way.
Yeah, yeah,
The peer pressure isn't that high for them. They feel more free to actually um, just express what they want to express without having that fear of like getting judgments.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
when you look at the secondary school kids, they are almost terrified about being judged, and there's a lot of peer pressure. So you
yeah, yeah,
have to really find a way to make them feel comfortable enough to open up.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, that's a
yeah,
big difference. It's a big
yeah,
difference.
yeah. And if you say we're gonna keep it on the learning end, but this time I'm gonna flip it. Because for you, let's say you after a while you made that choice to, look at your heritage and let's say go deeper into that. How did that go for you?
To what extent? To like teaching or to like music or what?
For you on a personal level.
So what did the getting nearer to my heritage do for me personally?
Yeah, and how did you, let's say, actually get into getting into more of your heritage?
Okay, and how did I get into more of my heritage? I guess
Yeah.
it's more based on um, just finding out that most of the components of the Ghanaian culture are already a part of me, but
Mm-hmm.
more in a sort of subconscious way. So I wanted to be able to get that subconscious level to a conscious level,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and because when it gets to that conscious level, then you're able to really make it a part of what you're doing and what you're
Yeah, yeah.
expressing. So that was the biggest goal actually. So that's why I went there at the beginning of this year,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and also last year, just to really dive in and learn, because I've been there more times before, but
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I never went there just to explore for myself, because normally when I go there, it's more based on visiting family, and then
Yeah.
um, there's a lot of family out there, so time flies, and then you have to go
Yeah,
back.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So that's basically how it is. And this time around, I was able to really explore. I just went from um, the south of Ghana all the way to the middle and then to the north and back, basically. So I
Ah,
saw, yeah, I saw the differences. I saw the way people live and the way people sort of, um, yeah, just their lifestyle and the differences between those lifestyles.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that helped a lot for me to really sort of create my own picture and um, pick out the sort of lifestyle that I saw and make it a part of my own.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And if you, let's see, going there, of course, you already went many times to like visit family. So then you already
mhm,
have an let's say an idea of how it is or how it could be. Did
mhm.
you did you get a lot of revelations, let's say new revelations, by actually taking that trek from south to north?
So did I get a lot of
New revelations, new insights
new
that you wouldn't have had, let's say, just in your usual, I would call it your usual travels of going by family and then seeing family.
yeah, a lot of new revelations because it's a big difference. Probably if you have family abroad, you you can probably imagine because when you visit family abroad, they take care of you and they in some way, um, yeah, you're just there and you're eating and then you go back and then you're eating and then you go to different family
Yeah,
members
yeah,
and you eat a bit there. You go to the church and before you know it, it's done. The holiday is done.
yeah,
You
yeah,
you you didn't get a chance to really go out for yourself, and it's all based on love, basically, because they want to help you out. They want to take care of you
yeah, yeah,
and make sure you're safe. Especially Ghanaian community is very based on making sure people are comfortable. It's a very welcoming vibe always,
yeah,
and
yeah,
when there's family around, you make sure that they are okay and that they have someone that shows them around. But it's always based on their own sort of way of life already. It's not based on like, oh, you never been or you haven't you don't come from this country, like you don't
yeah,
live in
yeah,
this country, so we'll show you around. It's just based on their circle of life, basically.
Yeah,
So I had
just
to find my own circle of life, man. In
okay,
that,
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
yeah.
what was for you, let's say, the biggest new insight in I'm gonna call it your solo Ghana travel?
There are a lot of insights. It's hard to pick like one, but um, let's say like one of the things you learn is that um, music can be. It's not only about entertainment, man. It's about lifting up spirits and sharing messages. Um, and it's also very refreshing to actually get um, to learn these stories, but not from a Western type of
Perspective.
view.
Yeah.
That whole Western perspective is out everywhere, man. So to actually get like these stories from African, in this case Ghanaian perspective, was very refreshing, and it teaches you a lot, man, about just how people live and uh, yeah, that music is not only well, because when you sort of imagine like there are like 600 different rhythms just in Ghana, and all these rhythms are based on the locations, on the regions. So each region has their own sort of rhythm and their own sort of music. So when you come from a certain place, that sort of rhythm will sort of be connected to you in some way, and you don't even know
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when that happens, it's hard to describe, man. It's like yeah, it's a spiritual feeling, man. Like, hey, this it's not like I like this track. It's I'm part of this track. This is me basically,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
in another form in some way, and it's yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And is that one of also the, let's say, the subconscious feelings, thoughts that became more conscious when you were there? So, for example, your parents are from a certain area in Ghana that would have one of the rhythms, and then you would experience the other rhythms, and then you would kind of understand why that rhythm syncs with you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely, and it's also interesting to see and hear about how the music traveled because it's not only based on what is going on in Ghana. It's actually during all the hardship that happened in history, there was still communication, and especially within music, because music is a universal language that just keeps on going. You can't enslave music,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
so it
yeah,
keeps on going either way.
yeah,
And they tried to sort of stop it in some way because music was also used to communicate during wars.
yeah, 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 and
Um, at some point in Haiti, they um, defeated the French with
yeah,
with playing drums and sort of making sure that the messages were spread, so
yeah,
they were able to beat them that way. And from that point on, they sort of in this case the white people, the Western Europeans, they were like, okay, drumming is not allowed, but they
yeah,
still found a way to keep on doing that, and that's interesting. And you can also hear like certain rhythms that come from the continent but are all the way traveled to the Caribbean or all the way traveled to America,
yeah, yeah,
like uh, from rock and roll even to reggae music,
yeah, yeah,
but also the other way around. That's something I also wasn't like very really aware of. Like it also goes the other way around, because at some point, there were like armies that were based on West Indies, and the West
Mm.
Indies is like, I don't know if you know, like it's based basically, that's the Caribbean and that
Yeah.
whole area. So
Yeah.
they, especially the British, they formed the West Indies Army
Yeah.
because they were um, used to the heat. They were
Yeah.
used to the climate.
Yeah.
They didn't catch like malaria that fast. It was different for them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what they did. But they marched with a certain rhythm also.
Ah.
So it traveled, and that rhythm is sort of based on the motherland rhythm, but it
Mm-hmm.
traveled. So obviously it's different in some
Ah.
way, but it's still connected to that one. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
the Africans, they hear that rhythm and like, hey, this sounds familiar, but it's different. And then
Yeah.
they make it their own again, and that's how sort of this just an example of how music travels and keeps on traveling, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And also an
it's interesting.
example of how it still communicates. You know, because
Yeah,
yeah, music actually it's not even about the language. You know, it's basically how the rhythm communicates with, yeah, let's say, with your essence, with your soul. You know,
it's true.
that's why, like, in a lot of places, let's say, and I think it's, for my knowledge, since I'm a hip hop guy, you really also notice it on the hip hop end, where, you know, someone doesn't even speak, for example, a word of French, but they would still be listening to a French artist pure because the rhythm and, let's say, the connection kind of is there, and then it's just
It's true.
beyond the language. It's just that the feeling that you have, that you get with it.
It's true. It's true. But also, when you just look at hip hop, the way it goes, yeah, it's obvious that it's African. It's based on African culture, black culture in this way, because you start rapping when the drums come hit. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
start. You won't start when the drums aren't there. Like it's based on the drums actually. If the whole essence of, if you're talking about essence of hip hop also, is based on the drum breaks. So they took the drum breaks from like funk music, soul music.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, like the most popular one is probably the one from James Brown, Funky Drummer.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that
yeah.
drum solo. If you hear it, you automatically know it's on. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so it's based on the drums also, and yeah, it's just interesting to see like the connection between all that, and across the years it's still going. You know,
Yeah.
very interesting, and I learned a lot from it just uh, by knowing that.
And if you look at, let's say, I'm gonna take actually two growths. So you have the growth of hip hop, how that grew, and really now you also have the growth of the African sound. So the let's call it, more of the African music is really now more prevalent, more heard. Do you see, like, can you find or see a correlating reason of why those two kind of start to grow now,
So those two, you mean African music
and hip hop?
and hip hop music? Um, I guess like African music, it's like I think it's more based on um the fact that there's a lot going on that continent, man. It's like it's crazy. There's a lot going on. Like when you listen to like South African music, the Amapiano, Afro house, it's totally different from the West African Afro beat. Uh, Ghanaian high life is different from like East African music, and there's a lot going on, you know, in general. And I guess um, hip hop is like very fluid because you can rap on everything basically. So it's very fluid. But basically, it changes every year, or it actually changes continuously
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because the sound is totally different from like 20 years ago, and it will be totally different 20 years from now. So
yeah.
it's very fluent, and it will always change because it's not the same with every genre, I guess. Because when you look at let's say country music or
Mm-hmm.
rock music, it's based on that same base that it had like years back,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like I guess hip hop is more fluid, and that's why it's still like prominent during this time.
yeah, yeah. And if you look at that fluidity, do you also have that, let's say, fluidity, or gain that fluidity in the way how you do things?
Yeah, yeah, because I guess KRS One said this. Like he said, hip hop is about um, you dare being like daring enough to be you, something like that. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
the specific words,
This,
but it's
but
that's
it's
basically
approximately,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So I guess yeah, you just have to know where you are from and what moves you and what have sort of made you the person you are today to be able to create music that is different from what is already there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
at first, of course, I used to just rap on beats that were like from maybe Nas or maybe Busta or
yeah, yeah,
so. But if I do that, if I would just take that beat and release it, is it's not authentic,
yeah,
and it will sound like I'm from New York or something. But I'm not from New York. I'm not from New York. I'm not from Brooklyn. I'm not from Queensbridge.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so it doesn't make sense for me to do that. That's how I look at it. And for me, it's interesting to find a way to really incorporate where you are from and or what moves you, or what like really sticks out for you, and
mm-hmm,
create your
mm-hmm.
own version of it. Because obviously, when it could also be like when you're like I don't know, maybe you're from Poland, but you really like reggae music and
Mm-hmm.
like really, really like reggae music. Okay, then create sort of what is Polish reggae music. It can't sound the same as Jamaican
Yeah,
reggae music.
yeah, because it's a
What
totally
is that?
different climate. It's a totally
Yeah.
different vibe. Yeah,
So that's the whole thing. Like I guess music is always based on where you're from, and that's what it is.
yeah, yeah. And if you look at, let's say, your your journey of life up until today, what are the four top lessons or top insights you would share with someone else?
Based on
Um, anything that comes to mind. So if someone I walk up to you like, hey, what are the four top tips you have for me in life? What would they be?
that's a big question, man. That's a big question. Because the to really give like good advice, I guess it's always based on the person you're talking to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, in life you always I guess you have to dare to be you, and that sounds like very sort of cryptic in some way, or I don't
Mm-hmm,
know.
mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of people in this world that just do what think is right, but they don't really listen to what's inside that voice that speaks to
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Like, okay, this why won't you do this, or and if you neglect that voice at some point, you will really get lost because um, it's all based on the being the best version of yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
and you can only be the best version of yourself if you are doing what really floats your boat, what
Yeah,
really
yeah.
gives you energy. And if you're doing what is not based on that same sort of method,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
then you're not being the best version of yourself. And for instance, when you're like working as a, it doesn't even matter what you are doing as long as
Mm-hmm.
it's based on what really uh, sticks out for you, you know. And that's what I've learned, because you can only be the best in something that you want to do if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing what you want to do, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's actually that's a good one, yeah. Yeah.
So that's one big lesson. Another big lesson, I guess, for me is uh, yeah, think big, you know, like, and work hard, but also think big, because it's always based on if you dare to really envision what you want, or
Yeah.
if you sort of see the boundaries, or like, I'm probably not able to do that because
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
that way you're limiting yourself already, you know. And at the end of the day, I guess it's always based on if you don't believe in what you are doing, nobody else will do. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
start with yourself, you know, start with yourself,
Yeah, yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
All right, so you
That's,
already you gave two big ones.
yeah.
Are there any other ones that pop up in your mind? You're like, okay, we have a dare to dream big, be yourself. Anything else that pops up in your mind?
mm, let's see, what else. Yeah, there are lots of things you could talk about, but I guess the moral of the story is yeah, just sort of envision yourself at the end of this journey, sort of this journey called life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
When you look back at it, like, what really stood out for you, and what really sort of was the essence of why you were here, or if you are able to catch that
Mm-hmm.
now, or then you're able to sort of get the most out of this life, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we live in a sort of very like um, materialistic world,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay, because we are all sort of sensitive for it in some way, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
because yeah, we are all human, and it's out there, you know. There are a lot of products out there, and
Yeah, yeah.
just even when you walk on the streets, there are like ads everywhere, and when you scroll on your timeline, there's
Yeah, yeah.
stuff thrown at you all the time. Look at this, do this, see this, buy this. It's out there, but like, at the end of the day, like, what really is the essence of what you're doing? And if you know what the essence is, then you're able to get the most out of it, I guess.
Nice one. Yeah. And if you would think on a Ghanaian proverb that you would say, yeah, that is definitely one maybe that changed something for you, or that gives a great insight to someone else. Which Ghanaian proverb would it be?
Um, I guess go back and get it is very very interesting, because it's based on um, learning from the past to better your future. So I guess that is a big one for me, because you can learn a lot from the steps you've already made, and we tend to only look forward at some time,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're an ambitious person like me. I tend to look always forward, so
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes you have to look back and see what you can learn from the past to better your future, because otherwise um, you might sort of minimalize your circle, and you will just run circles
yeah, yeah, yeah,
instead of widen that same circle, you know.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a nice one. Yeah, yeah. That's a very good one. Yeah. And if the people want to get in contact with you, where all can they find you?
I'm very like active on Instagram, so they can find me on Instagram, K Slice
Mm-hmm.
Music.
Mm-hmm.
So that is KAY and then Slice Music. And I'm on all the other platforms also. So I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook. You know, I'm out there, and yeah, there's lots of music out there on Spotify, and on YouTube there are some
Mm-hmm.
music videos you can watch, and there's a lot more coming out, especially next year. So be
Ah,
on the lookout.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and you already have, do you, as someone who looks forward, do you already have next year almost totally planned out? Or are you keeping some surprises for yourself?
If there's one thing that like 2020 learned taught me in some ways, that you can plan, but you can only plan to a certain extent. So you have to be flexible with it. But I definitely want to put out a lot of music. I want to put out an album, and the sort of music I'm gonna put out next year is based on the journey I've made. So um, yeah, it's gonna be an album, and it's gonna be filled with music that I've made in Ghana, and that are inspired on that journey. So yeah, that's what it's about.
Ah, nice, nice. Well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure check him out. I'm gonna put also the links are gonna be in the show notes. So make sure check out K Slice and check out the sound that he's bringing. It's a nice and refreshing sound. And Kay, I would like to thank you for being on the show and thank you for your time and sharing all your insights, and knowledge that you've gained over the, let's say, over the years and over your journey towards your own heritage.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you will hear me on the next episode of the Hip Hop Minded Professional, and with certainly another inspiring guest. Have a nice day and see you guys next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Hip Hop Minded Professional. Make sure to subscribe at your favorite streaming platform so that you don't miss the next episode. And make sure to visit hiphopculturecoaching.com for more information on how hip hop helps your mindset.